Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Wartrain here. Do me a favor, if you're new, please subscribe and turn on notifications down below so that you guys can get notified of every time I upload a video just like this one. And if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, please give it a thumbs up. But with that said, today's video, guys, I want to talk about all the releases of hardware that are going to be coming out in the future. We just got the Nintendo Switch Lite, we got the Nintendo Switch version 2 with the upgraded battery, we got the Sega Genesis Mini, or Classic, whatever you call it, but we got a lot of cool stuff lately. But there's also some really cool stuff that's coming up in the future. We do have the PlayStation 5, for instance, Xbox Scarlet, as it's being called so far. We have, let's see, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, something I am super excited for because I just love retro gaming, and that's the stuff I grew up on, so I am super excited for that. Let's see, we have the SNK SNK Arcade Stick Pro. Another one, looks awesome. And from what I understand, they just released a games list for this thing, which is also a fight stick for like PC and possibly consoles. And if it's not compatible right off the bat, I'm sure there'll be some adapters so that you could play it possibly on your favorite console. But there's a lot of new hardware that's going to be coming out. I mean, I hate to say this one, but there's also what was called the Atari box. That's actually up for pre-order in GameStop right now. They changed the name to the VCS, the Atari VCS video game system. Basically ripping off the old name, playing on nostalgia, but it's up for pre-order. And that thing goes for a premium too. I can't believe it's actually up for pre-order. We'll see when that thing comes out. I know they like to joke with me when I go in there about pre-ordering it. Not to knock anybody that's pre-ordered it. I haven't pre-ordered it as of right now. I think I want to see what it actually plays first. I'm not sure what the games are going to be. I do know that, they say that they're going to be Atari games on there, but, I'm not paying like $300 to play Atari games. I'm sorry. Sorry, Atari and Atari fans, but it's just not worth $300. I believe that's the price tag of this thing. That's not worth it for me. Maybe if it has some new games and they look interesting, then we'll talk. But yeah, just to play Atari games, no. I'm totally fine buying either original Atari hardware and playing that way, or buying collections on current generation systems, or even older generation systems that have collections on them. But what systems are you guys interested in? I know I am really interested in this TurboGrafx 16 Mini. I think that thing looks awesome. I had a Turbo 16 growing up, and I thought it was super cool. Unfortunately, it was lost to the hands of time. I don't know what happened to the thing. It just kind of vanished from move to move and move. I moved a lot when I was, in my early 20s, so things kind of disappear. I lost a lot of other hardware in the moves. I kept downsizing as well. Trying to make my move to the next place easier. So you lose a lot of stuff along the way, especially when you're going to different states, maybe like 6.5 hours away. You tend to lose some things in that shuffle. But unfortunately, I do have some of that stuff left, which is cool. But yeah, this TurboGrafx 16 Mini is something I am absolutely ecstatic and cannot wait for that thing to come out. It's actually being released by Konami, out of all people, so I think that's pretty weird. The Atari VCS, now that's another thing. It got a lot of people putting up money for the Kickstarter, or actually I think it was an Indiegogo. Yeah, I think it was an Indiegogo that was the Atari VCS. So and then we have the Intellivision. Was that Amico? That looks definitely interesting. I am interested in that. A lot of the games are going to be cheaper games. They did announce that they're going to have Earthworm Jim, a new one right off the bat. That's going to be a launch specifically for that platform, which is definitely interesting. I've been keeping my eye on that thing. You know, I think that thing might be able to make a little bit of a splash. Just because you're going to pay for the hardware and the games are going to be cheaper. Probably more like indie games on there and stuff. But you know what? There's a lot of absolutely awesome indie games. I love playing indie games. I play a lot of indie games on my Nintendo Switch. But I'm trying to think of what other hardware. It hasn't came out yet. This Capcom arcade, basically emulation station. That thing looks pretty awesome too. I don't know how I feel about the huge Capcom logo, but I guess it could be cool. I think I really need to see the thing with my own eyes to really appreciate it more. It does look cool in the pictures, but I really want to see it with my own eyes. And that thing's a little pricey. I forget the price of it. I want to say that might be upwards of $300. Yeah, I could be off. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's somewhere around there. That thing looks pretty cool, and it has like all really high quality parts in there. The buttons, the joysticks, top of the line here. So that's definitely cool. And the neat thing about that is it has awesome Capcom games already packed on it, and there are some really cool games on there. I know there is some games that I really like on there, and I thought about picking one of these up. I think it's still up for pre-order, but the thing looks really cool. There's some cool games on there, but the feature to that I think is absolutely the most interesting is the ability to add more ROMs on there, to add more games. That could make this thing actually worth it, because if you could add more games, especially if they were like free, just like in a download or whatever, that would be even better. But I could see them even if they charged them. This is Capcom, so even if they charged them, maybe I wouldn't be so bad either, because you're getting officially licensed merchandise from Capcom specific, because you have to order this through Capcom. But definitely interesting. That's another thing I've been keeping my eye on. But there's absolutely some amazing hardware coming out. And we just had some amazing hardware drop. The Nintendo Switch Mini, absolutely awesome. This is truly the next evolution for Nintendo's handhelds. And it makes total sense. And I think that thing is going to sell absolutely well. We just had the Sega Genesis Mini drop. Another great mini console. I actually think it's one of the best. I'd say, for me personally, that is absolutely in league and line with the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic, because I believe those were pretty much, head of the class as far as the mini consoles. And I want to say pretty much every mini console there is right now. I have the, the Neo Geo Mini. I have the Commodore 64 Mini, but the NES Mini, I have the PlayStation Mini, and that thing, wow. There's some stuff to be said about that, but there is fun to be had on that system, especially too when the price, I seen it go down to like $25. That was definitely worth it, and a time for anybody to pick that up, even if it was bad, that was still a great price. I unfortunately paid $100 for that thing, and wow, I wish I would have waited, because man, it wasn't that good. But there is ways to make it better by, jailbreaking it, hacking it, whatever you want to call it, basically modifying the system to play all kinds of great games and other systems on it. You can absolutely do that as well. But, that thing turned out to be a kind of a cool system after the modding community went to work on it. But yeah, there is a lot of amazing hardware out there, and it's cool to see new stuff. I'm very excited for the next PlayStation, the fifth one. There's rumors lately that PlayStation might come out with the Pro model right alongside the PS5 launch model, which, who knows if that's true. That's definitely interesting. And, I could see them doing that because they want to do big things, but they want to keep that price tag down. Certain people are going to want the Pro model. I want the Pro model. I want to have the best experience I could have with it, just because I want to see how far they can push this stuff. So I think that is really cool. And then you have something like the Xbox codename Scarlet right now. That thing's definitely interesting. A lot of cool stuff could be happening with that. I mean, these systems are, competing head on. So, who's going to come out on top this time? I mean, Sony clearly was the top dog in this last generation, the one we're currently in. They just killed it. I mean, over 100 million consoles sold and still selling. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Sony pretty much had done that with a couple of their consoles now. So you got to give them a lot of credit, and I think they got to thank Nintendo for even, kind of working with them in the beginning to launch their PlayStation, because that was kind of a, screw you to Nintendo, because Nintendo kind of screwed them over, unfortunately. And it would have been really interesting to see if Sony and Nintendo would have worked together and put out a disc add-on for the Super Nintendo. That could have been really cool, but hey, we got the PlayStation branding out of it, and Sony's been making awesome consoles. You got to give them that for sure. But what do you guys think? What hardware are you guys excited for? I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see all this different hardware. I think it's all interesting, and I can't wait to see what the future of all these hardware revisions, be it another Switch one, the Switch Pro, or some of these new consoles, the underdogs like the Intellivision Amico. Definitely an underdog, but they're not asking for money. They're funding. Intellivision is doing all the funding and building their console. I mean, they have prototype and all that stuff, and they already got games that they're got in the works. I mean, they came out recently and announced that the Earthworm Jim was going to be one of their exclusive titles, and you had the whole team in a big meeting and press release. So definitely cool stuff. I don't know what to think about the Atari VCS. There's a lot still to be unveiled, I think, with that console. We really haven't heard too much. I mean, that's a whole nother story. But Capcom with their big arcade stick platform, whatever you want to call it, that thing's definitely high end for a unique buyer. Still, I think it's really cool. I think arcade gaming's awesome. I always did. So I'm probably one of the people to buy something like that. And then what else you got? A Nintendo Switch revision. I'm definitely on board for that. And what is the future of VR as well? You got rumors of Sony talking about maybe VR 2. I think that would be awesome. I bought the first PlayStation VR day one, and the thing's pretty awesome, especially for the price. It's not the most high end, but it does have some cool games and cool experiences on it. That's for sure. It's definitely, I think came out with more than, I expected maybe. In the beginning, it was, who knows? You didn't know. It could have folded, within a year. But, they've actually, are still putting out games. So, good job, Sony. I think it's the #1 selling VR platform. So, that's pretty remarkable. It's still a niche thing, but, I think it's always gaining a little bit of steam and people interested in it. But what do you guys think about next-gen hardware or just new hardware coming out? What are you guys most interested in? Let me know in the comments. I'm definitely excited to find out what people, are keeping their eyes on. I'm actually been keeping my eye on all this stuff, honestly. That's all I pretty much do when I'm not working, is just focus on game-related topics, news, hardware, all that stuff. So, like I said, let me know in the comments, but thanks for watching the video. If you're new, do me a favor, please subscribe and turn on notifications down below so you guys can get notified of all my videos. And if you enjoy this video, give it a like, guys. But that's the video. I'm the War Train, and I'm out. Have a good one, guys.